Hello, everybody. Yorkshire Music Forum Convention is produced by the Yorkshire Music Forum Consortium of Come Play With Me, DMF Digital, Higher Rhythm, Arnold Brown Ltd, and Music Leads, and in collaboration with Launchpad. So thank you so much to all of them for putting this together. And Yorkshire Music Forum is a PRS Foundation talent development partner. And this event is supported by the BPI as well as Youth Music with public funding from the National Lottery through Arts Council England, Leeds 2023, Arts at Leeds, and Leeds City Council through Launchpad. Find out about all the other talks that are happening at this year's convention through the link in the comments. That should be popping up right now. Well, now though, to tonight's keynote talk. My name is Abby McCarthy. I'm a presenter for BBC Introducing, and I have the pleasure of chatting to Rebecca Lucy Taylor, aka Self-Esteem. Welcome.
My own sound. Hi, nice to see you.
Yeah, and you. I feel like we did need some sound effects, some klaxons. You're the keynote speaker. I hope you've been flexing that to your family and friends in the build up to this.
I still don't really know what it means, but yeah, I am. I'm key and no. Okay, here I am in my childhood bedroom.
Love it. Now, I guess a good place to start, because there's so much to talk about today, but a good place to start would be right at the beginning. So when was it you kind of really considered music as a career?
All at school, really. Like I loved it, and I was like, that was all I thought about, really. And I'd loved music since I was a kid, and then like really got into bands, like and as a disgusting sort of, I cringe when I think about how much I defined who I was by the cool bands I liked, but it was just my like everything. So I started to learn to play the drums and stuff and things like that. And then I did music GCSE, and I remember I wanted to play the drums for it, but they were like, instead, why don't you just sing? Because it's like easier to like get good grades that way. And then I never looked back from that point onwards in terms of wanting to sing, really. So yeah, and then straight out of school, I had a year out to train for drama school, but I started a band instead. So here we are.
Love that. And the band achieved quite a lot of success, didn't they, Slow Club? So yeah, talk us through that section of your career in the band. You must have so many amazing memories.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like a decade of my life, and very much like my whole adult life. What was that? So sort of coming out the other side of it is quite strange. I'm like, wow, I can't remember a time before. I was like a kid, and then I was just devoted to this sort of weird life, which was like incredible. I traveled the world, you know, in a way I would never have been able to, and it was like weirdly doing it. Like we did really well, but we never made like tons of money. We were never like a huge success in terms of commercially, but it sort of meant you got this experience which was really unique, really, because we made it work, and we carried on, and we did a lot of things that you know, a more successful band would have never got to do. You wouldn't have, those sort of opportunities wouldn't have been put in front of you. So I don't know, at the time I was a bit like, why aren't I on, you know, what TV show has music on it anymore? But like now I can sort of look back and be grateful for the fact that we did it how we did it.
I'm sure there's going to be so many people watching this that are desperate to be in a band and reach some of the success that you had. So can you kind of talk us through how you built a team, how you got a label on board, how you found managers, how the momentum for you guys really got going?
For Slow Club, yeah. Okay. Well, we just sort of fell into it, really. We had a manager at first. It was tricky at the start because you're so young, like you know, anyone who said they could help us, I certainly was like, brilliant, great, here we go, Star Maker has found me, you know. But it didn't work like that at all. And yet, like with hindsight, it's like you need to be careful, really, who you trust at the start. But then we ended up meeting Moshi Records, who they just started managing as well as putting records out, and we ended up having this like kind of unconventional, really, setup where they managed us. They helped us fund recording, and we were a bit of a team, really, and we made it work in a really sort of DIY way, but it just meant it worked, you know, it did work.
I remember I was so excited when you started releasing music as Self-Esteem because I've been following Slow Club, but it's so different, isn't it? It was like, oh, okay, let's go pop. I'm into this. So how did you feel about releasing that? Was that the music that you kind of had inside of you for a long time, but maybe didn't feel confident to release? Yeah, talk us through, all the feelings around that, because it was quite a switch, wasn't it? In an amazing way.
Yeah, I mean, thank God. It was something I had to do psychologically because I became pretty unhappy. Like I couldn't express myself, and we were like 4 albums down the line in a band where your heart, creatively half of what. It's kind of like everything you create had to go through the filter of somebody else, which can make amazing things, and it definitely did. But you get to the point where you can't. I mean, I certainly just couldn't do it anymore, and I had to. It was like I've had a whole life of people sort of. I don't know if you've had this, like as a woman, I guess it's like stay in your lane, you're like, don't show off, don't think much of yourself, like be humble, and don't have an ego or whatever. But I just hit my threshold where I was like, I don't think it's bad to have any of those things. I think, men get to do it all the time. So it was a combination of that. Plus, it was just time to do something else. And it was what I always wanted to do. And both Charles and I made solo records where you can hear that we were just finally doing what the other one didn't let the other one do. And it's like, so to talk about it in an art sense, like kind of amazing. Like how often would you get that pent up expression? Like, because usually these days you'd probably just, I don't know, had my time again, I'd have been solo from the start, you know what I mean? But you would have never got this like really intense and ongoing like creative output that's really untethered and really there's no boundaries to it. Sorry, was that the question? I just get so excited talking about something. But I did it in a very different way across the board, really. Like I have a much more traditional manager, label, agent, PR, everything's like in place this time. And I personally have found that a lot better for me because it's just learning to delegate and know who's meant to do what. Where in Slow Club it was all really like mate, sort of matey, all in this together vibes, which was gorgeous. But personally for me, I prefer to know who's meant to do what and have people be accountable for like their role in it. But both are cool and both make great sort of music, I think.
So as an artist from Yorkshire, did you ever feel the pressure to move to the big smoke, to move to London to kind of make it? Or did you see a lot of benefits for actually making music in the North and sort of staying where you're from?
I've done a bit of both, really. So I've moved in and out of London a few times when it's been like super busy, but it's always the process. I've never created the music in London. I've always here, or I make Self-Esteem in part of Margate. But so London's always been this place where after I've done a load of work and it's all this like chunk of stuff, I feel like Dick Whittington. I like get my pole and napkin or whatever and march down and I'll do the interviews and the videos and all the swooshy bits. But that's so overwhelming that nothing creative happens. I'm just kind of like go into like promo mode. And I find certainly Sheffield is like my, I hope to move here permanently and create, it's more of there's something relaxed about the North for me where you've not got all the sort of overwhelming stuff and it's all very like I can breathe and I think, and I almost like kind of get bored up here, but in a really beautiful way that's where I start to make things and have ideas, which is really like a parallel to being a kid. Sorry, I'm in my parents' house again for lockdown and I'm like literally in my childhood room where I was bored shitless here, for a long time. But that's where I made all the stories of and all the things. And it's like sort of being still, even though it feels like sometimes to me, it's where all like my best sort of ideas and work comes from. So it sounds like not a nice thing I'm saying. Sheffield is boring, but it's not. Now what I would have called boring as a kid, I now call, it's the stillness and the calm that creates the sort of happiness in me to be able to go, pick a guitar up again, you know.
You mentioned going to London, you know, for the photo shoots and the videos. And one thing I've always loved about you as an artist is you just nail it visually as well. Like the Self-Esteem project, even when I say self-esteem, I can visualize like all your photos and some of the amazing videos and some of the looks that you've served. I think it was at the Six Music Festival where you wore that dress that was all Boots Advantage cards. Yeah, that was a moment. So yeah, is that, you know, it's obviously the music's always going to be the most important, but the visuals for you are also such a key part of this project.
I think so, and I think it's kind of good advice all around to artists these days, because not, how do I say it? Like, for me, it begins with the music, but it doesn't end there. And you've got a platform, and why not use it and fill every corner with like what you're trying to say. Like a song, or it's like a sound, a musical sound, to me is like not enough to say how I feel. So for me, it's all encompassing, and I want the whole thing to be a sort of multi-sensory experience. So you saying that when you say the word, you can see the photos, is really like amazing to me, because that's what I set out to do. But again, each to their own. Like, some people can't think of anything worse, you know. Some people don't want to be seen, and that's got its merits too. But I personally, like, if there's a stage, if there's lights, if there's a camera, if there's people looking, why not make that interesting? Like, and it's always an extension of what I was trying to get at anyway. Because I don't know, but for me as an artist, like it's just me trying to communicate better than I can in my actual life. When someone says what's wrong and I'm going, nothing. But they're fine.
You're also really expressive and generally quite hilarious on social media. I wondered what your relationship with it was as an artist, because obviously it's an amazing tool for promotion, but also there's kind of like negativity around social media as well, as in sometimes people think it consumes their life, you know, we're always checking. So how have you navigated the weird and wonderful world of social media as Self-Esteem?
I mean, if it's something when someone says I'm funny on it, I'm like, I'm not like crying. I'm just enjoying myself all the time. And what has shifted for me since sort of Slow Club and Self-Esteem is like, I interact with everyone now, and it's like a right laugh. Whereas before it did feel like I had to present a certain type of person, but it is complicated. I mean, I've got into trouble in my personal life by people having a problem with shit I do on the internet. Every time I'm like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think, but it's just daft. It's all just daft. It's just fun. But I do have to remember people take it all really seriously sometimes. But in terms of communicating, this project has been vital to me. Again, it's like another part of the sensory experience, and also promo-wise, like if I release something and I didn't put it on my social media, no one would know. Like, it's as simple as that. And like record labels only, you know, you only get a billboard at a certain level. You only get adverts don't really happen anymore. Like, in terms of promoting what you're actually offering, I don't know what there would be without it. So when people have scoffed at me for like going on it probably more than a normal person does, I kind of think, well, but I've got this sort of little bubble now and a real instant way to communicate what I've made, and I really appreciate it. And I also, honestly, I just find it so funny sometimes that it gives me joy. And look, maybe I do think, is it like a narcissism where, but it isn't. It's just like not being alone all the time. Oh God, that's embarrassing, but it's true, you know. I'm watching some stupid TV show and everyone else has watched it, but I put it on my story and I say what I think about it and people reply, and then we have this dialogue about some absolutely awful TV show about getting married on day one. And why not have that interaction rather than just sit in my childhood bedroom having my own opinions?
So as you say, in your childhood bedroom, you're rocking it. I can't believe we're only a week into lockdown 2. Can you believe that? It's gonna be a long one.
I've been, because I had to leave London, and I had to isolate. So I've actually been locked down for about 6 weeks. So I'm
Wow.
like, it's no different to me. But that's why I'm doing all this stuff online, because it has, you know, mentally it helps me. So I, again, give it, it's out there if you want to do what helps me too, you know.
Yeah, you've been doing quite a lot of like interesting stuff online to help you deal with lockdown and in turn your fans. So yeah, for anybody that's missed any of that, give us the juice.
Just I realize exercising every day, as annoying as that is, and as much as I don't want to, just makes me less insane. So I just, back in lockdown 1, I was like, I'm going to do the same thing every day on the live. You can join me if you want. And me making sure it's online means I can't go, I'm not going to bother. And that's created, this is about sort of 10 people that are still doing it with me every day. And it's like augmented into this. I'm making my own routines up to my own, like, own playlists. And like, so it's something stupid that's turned into something extremely beneficial to me and like a handful of other people. And then I'm meditating. I don't know if have you ever meditated, Abby?
You know what? I have recently, because I've seen more and more people talking about it in lockdown. It's one of those things I was like, I'm a bit like manic, so I can't really sit down and concentrate for very long. So I was like, yeah, meditating's not going to work. When you force yourself to do it, it's really good.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at as well. I was like, same again. I was like, I don't want to. I've had like various boyfriends want me to. Like, yeah, whatever, it's boring. But yeah, again, it's another thing this year. I was like, okay, there's something in this, and so I've created my own meditation, because I find some of the language in like ones that you can find just on the internet like quite clunky and hard to. I'm just so predisposed to being like, yeah, whatever, that I had to make my own, that I couldn't do that. So I made my own meditation. Yeah,
Love it.
You know, a cult is probably next, but
all in good time.
Yeah.
So what would you say is like the biggest thing you've learned being an artist? Like, what's the best piece of advice you could give anybody watching this that is really trying to make a go of a career in music?
Oh boy. Don't compromise. Like, and some people for many years, people told me like to compromise, and what that did was just build up this idea that I couldn't do it alone, and I couldn't I ended up not trusting my gut on things. And collaboration is beautiful and wonderful, and in the right, and sometimes create something amazing. But I think, again, it's being a woman again. I guess I felt very much like music is a man's thing and leave it to the men, and I was just the pretty face to sing, you know, a song. No one was making me feel that way. That's just how like society was making me feel. And since being solo and really trusting my gut and being very sort of eloquent about what I want and need and communicating it, and not being so frightened, has changed everything, you know. So any musician, any vision you have, don't compromise on it, you know. Make it happen, whatever you want it, whether it's a chord change you particularly swear by, or some look or some style or some show idea you've got. Like, don't let anyone make you feel stupid about it. Just do it, because who cares?
Yeah, just own it. That's it, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So
sorry,
no, go on, carry on.
No, just I think like it's interesting. Like, I think we certainly my generation was sort of brought up to be like, it's just cool and we're just jamming with our friends, and anyone who wants to take it any more seriously than that, it always felt a bit like that wasn't cool, and that was lame. Want to sort of be successful, but I don't think that really should. I think that it inhibits a lot of people from just performing, because why not be as big and as bold as you want to be?
Yeah, that's a really good thing to live by. Like, why not make it the best that it can possibly be? You touched on collaboration there. Who are some of the people that you just love to sit down and collaborate with?
Johan, my producer for Self-Esteem, like I had a load of songs when I first had this idea for Self-Esteem, and I went, and it's quite hard because I'm not very techie, so you do end up having to sort of rely on someone who can use a computer. So like such a boomer. I'm like, make it sound like this, and so it for me it's very difficult to find because I don't have those skills. Collaboration now happens for me in terms of finding someone who's sonically on the same page. So when I go, I want it to be like da, 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 da. He's like dibby dibby doo, and then it's there. Like it's incredible, like how that doesn't come easily. So I tried lots of different producers and had a lot of like, and if that first sort of year where I was trying to make Self-Esteem songs, I thought what I wanted was impossible, and that was like a really difficult thing. But when I met Johan, it was like that, and you know, we're no looking back now. Like I've just made the second record with him. Like he is Self-Esteem too, you know. And then also my band, like a real beautiful thing to come out of this that I didn't think would happen was like, you know, I pay session musicians to play my songs with me live, but they are each and every one has become just this like heart and soul of it, and it's so sort of full of love. So it shows now what I always wanted them to be, which are these like performances that take something from me, and because I'm giving something out, and everyone on the stage does now, rather than it being, you know, all understated and cool. And I love her. Trying to think of more. I've had some amazing like Jamie T. I did some stuff with right at the start that was like, so he really got Self-Esteem, the project, rolling in a way, because he's the first person that gave me the confidence that they were good songs. And then Dave McLean from Django as well, he was really instrumental in helping me believe in it and create it. Yeah, I'm really lucky. But also it's the same thing, like I spent years in studios going, yeah, no, that's all right, and I didn't mean that, you know, it wasn't all right, it wasn't right, and I felt really like I couldn't say no, can you try that again, or no, you know. I ended up, the compromise thing happened like all the time, whereas now I, you know, politely and respectfully go, that's wrong, it needs to be more like this, even if it's embarrassing how long it's taking, or it's awkward because you want to break for lunch. Like I'm like, and trying to like let go of the idea that I'm being demanding or a diva or a bitch or any of these things, and just going, well, no, I'm just trying to make this art, so we're going to make it. What's the point of making it if we don't make it right? It's difficult though. I'm sure plenty of people call me a bitch still, but that's fine.
That's all right, whatever. I think though it is interesting, isn't it? Because you should never have to compromise. It's your idea in your head. They're there to facilitate it. So for people that are watching this and are maybe beginning to collaborate with people, what makes a really great collaborator, like these people that you've just mentioned, and what makes maybe a collaborator that's not quite right?
Yeah, great question. And it's also about me being a good one as well. Like I've learned to communicate much better, like really eloquently and sort of slowly, and take your time to explain. Because I think for a lot of years I used to, the idea was up here and I'd sort of said what I meant, and then I'd be getting angry because they're not doing what I thought, but it's because I hadn't been very clear. And so I say loads of stuff now, like I'm like, explain it to me like I'm 5, or you know, teach me as if this is a foreign language. Like really things that you would feel stupid doing have been like extremely helpful. You know, Jamie, Dave and Johan, all 3 of those guys didn't make me feel stupid ever. And sometimes I'm on a mic going like singing the most weird things or having the most stupid ideas that ultimately didn't work, but they indulged me and worked it. And that idea that maybe, you know, maybe this is going to work, and having some faith in experimentation and stuff, like, but having said that, I don't want to do it for long. So jamming for like 5 hours and then it never getting anywhere was never my thing either. So having collaborators that are willing to like go down a road for a bit, but then know when that's enough to move on. But yeah, communication and not making you feel stupid is my top tip for a good collaborator.
So you mentioned the second record. This is exciting. What can you tell us at this stage? Did you find it difficult to write? Was it the difficult second album, or were you just kind of so excited to build on what you did with the debut?
I mean, I was excited, but I was also like, I don't know what I'm going to do here because I really feel so like it's a problem. I feel like, oh, it's really egotistical, but I think the first record was so good. That's like, I can't. That's it. Maybe I should quit now because that's been. There's no, you know, and I've never felt that before. You know, I always wanted to. There was ideas I needed to get out, and so I had a hairy sort of 6 months where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But you know, luckily I had a bad relationship and got writing again, and got back in the studio with Johan, and I'm so frightened at how easy it came together, and it just spilled out like so. It was a joy to make, and we the first album, you know, we had a lot. Oh shit, we had a lot of hurdles on the first album, and a lot of like days spent going like, I just can't understand what needs to happen. And there was like one of those days this time, which is either means it's brilliant and you can hear the fluidity, or like really rubbish and it's just not noticed. So yeah, I'm at that stage where I'm like, I think this is great, but I've, you know, who knows? But it's in the can. We're like, it's coming out next year. So
love that. I love how easy it was. Why do you think that was? Just because you had so much heartbreak to pull from?
Well, yeah, yes and no. Like, no, it wasn't just that, but it was more like, I think Johan and I were in this space where we understood each other so much. And I'd done a year on the road with my new band, essentially. And I've always thrived off what an audience kind of gives back. So making a record knowing, in theory, let's hope I'm going to play it live for a couple of years, like, that's always like a good remit for me to work to. Like, I like to have a boundary in a way. Like this song is, you know, the opener. This is the closer. This is the moment where we do. So I thought I could think about it much more in terms of a show. I could think about it in terms of the people I get to play my songs with. And I'm just at this place now where I like I sort of keep banging on about, like, I'm so less frightened about everyone's opinion of me, and I just want to make things that help me and like maybe put, you know, accidentally help everyone else or who listens to it. So it's kind of, yeah, it's my God complex maybe, but it was just very enjoyable and very fluid. And I think it's just because I'm getting like better at it, you know, like from germ of an idea to creating what it is to executing it. You know, over 10 years doing it now, I think it's like a bit of that where I'm like, I know when to stop. I know when that's not working. I know when to push up on something. I don't know. I wonder if other people who've been in it for ages get to this point. I don't know.
I guess you must do, mustn't you? Where you get to a sort of sweet spot where you know, yeah, you've got a good idea and which ones to develop, which ones to disregard, and just how to finesse it just perfectly. But you mentioned, 10 years of doing it. I mean, you love to see it. What's been your, you know, biggest and best moments in that time, do you think? I'm sure there's been loads.
Yeah, to be honest, I've got quite a bad memory these days, but yeah, I'm getting very grateful for the fact that, you know, I have had jobs in between. I've done like weird jobs that are flexible, and I haven't made loads of cash from being a musician, but I'm so grateful that I get to have an idea and by the end of the week, you know, it can exist. And I think that's, for artists, kind of all you can hope for these days, really, is like I get a platform to do it on. But but also like I love going on the telly so much. I love going on the telly. So every time I've done anything like that, I've loved it. And last November, I think it was, I played Brixton Electric sort of album campaign kind of closer show, and there's just like that was just the best night of my life. Like it was packed and everyone was really, really singing in this way I've never experienced, and there was just this vibe in the room where I put this album out in March that was really like exposing and really talking about how I feel. And I've blanket idea is like just a general black sheep of any group of peopleness is and to sort of go out to a massive crowd of people that have obviously felt the same and therefore like connected with what I was saying. I like felt deeply like not alone, very supported by loads of strangers, albeit, but I'll never forget it. It was incredible. So I would say that.
Yeah, I've been to some amazing shows of yours and seen you at festivals just kill it. I feel like live is such a big part of self-esteem, isn't it? So how do you approach a show? Like, how do you create those really special moments with every single person there?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in musical theatre and doing plays, and I was Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors in year 11. It was my pinnacle of my career. So I just come from that sort of background in a way. It was a really weird mix because I come from like show business, like dancing shows and things. That's all I did as a kid. And then to meet like, I loved like Interpol and Damien Rice, and then they sort of hit to and that was very different, and so for years those two things didn't really meet. Whereas now Self-Esteem, it's not a musical, but I still have this ethos of like, don't let it be boring. Like, don't let anyone go to the toilet. Don't give them a chance to check their phone. Like, you need to keep it moving so people give you the attention that like you actually do deserve. You've like put the work in. And so yes, coming from that, and also just stuff I find funny, stuff I would enjoy watching. And now definitely I kind of have a rotating number of people that play live with me, but knowing their personalities as well and knowing what they'd be up for, and I'm already kind of like, I know what the next record live show's kind of going to feel like. Oh, and then also Stuart, my choreographer, who is just an absolute angel, diamond, hilarious man who I met when I was a fairy in a panto. And
no way.
Yeah, that was my last real job.
Very good.
And he and I were just like, he loves Gaga and stuff like that. So we were connected in this like, I've always said, maybe I'll be playing like Cardiff Barfly for the rest of my life, but why can't the Cardiff Barfly be Super Bowl standard show? So working to that with a choreographer that, we work to, it can be as big as we want. So that all those things come together to make what, I hope is a really fun experience.
Yeah, so from like the Slow Club days to these big Self-Esteem shows, the music industry has obviously changed so much during that time. How have you found that? Like, how have you found adapting to just a totally different way to promote records? Streaming's come into play. There's so many changes. How have you found all of that?
Yeah, it's the one thing that sometimes I get like down in the dumps about because there is a world, 20 years ago, I'd be more successful if, it depends on what you want to mean by that word, but kind of made my peace with it a long time ago, because Slow Club, really, we started touring just as like iTunes and Spotify and things became the norm. Oh God, I'm like way back when in before times. So we never had that sort of it was never on the cards to like sell tons of records and see money for it. So I've always been in this state of mind, which is like, I'm very ambitious, but I also know that, enormous stars that make loads and loads of cash there's a huge engine behind them and a huge team and a lot of funding, and I've never had that. And so it's just I've tried to sort of repurpose what success is and what I actually want. And that if I really ask myself, what do I want? It's like, I want to be able to do it forever. So I don't know, my expectations are lowered, but that's in a good way, you know. So I don't know if that answers your question. There's definitely like, I could get more obsessed with streaming, and I could do more things to like engage and have a YouTube channel and all these things, and try my best to have a song that makes it on TikTok. But every time I start thinking like that, I'm like, I just don't, just like exhausts me and makes me as very uncreative. So my advice on that is just do what you're doing anyway. And, you know, obviously have a social media presence, and don't totally disregard things that might be a good platform for your music. But I don't know, I'm probably a bad person to ask, because I technically have given up trying to like have the hit somehow. It is a weird world though, but it's still, for me, still being able to do it, still being able to have an idea and know that someone will listen to it is, you know, something I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. So you touched on briefly kind of what success looks like to you. What kind of heights do you want to take self-esteem to? Like, what's the dream? Let's tap into that brain. What do you see going forwards for self-esteem?
There's like a few answers really. Like, I would love to be like an enormous arena filling artist. But as I was saying earlier, like, if I stay in reality with that, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that would happen, because, you know, my age, my music as well, as pop as it feels, it's not Radio 1 mainstream pop as much as I wish it was, you know, like, so I have dreams that I try to sort of not ruin with reality, but like keep in reality, because that means they can be achieved. So again, like I was saying earlier, like, I never want the show not to be so exciting and so fun, and and whatever the venue, whatever the size, however many people are there. But then I've also got like tons of other, like I've written a play and like that I'm gonna do, and I've got I write like lots of other things as well, and again it's like weird like lifestyle, alternative lifestyle branding that I seem to be cultivating. I don't know, it's like I've had a really hard time through my 20s trying to learn how to, you know, accept myself, what and whatnot, and I do really enjoy helping other people do that. Not that I've like totally done it yet, but that's kind of what's the dream for self-esteem, is just keep it going, get it bigger, have more budget to make videos and things. That would be nice. but ultimately just keep this kind of message of realistic self-acceptance. Does that make sense? Did I answer that?
Yeah, I think you did. Also, you just casually dropped in, you've written a play and done a bunch of stuff with other people. You can't just do that. Okay, let's talk about, first of all, the play, shall we? I want to hear more about that.
Well, no, I mean, I've got two on the go, but theatre takes ages. It's like weird, because I love it, but it takes ages, and like, because I'm a newbie, it's been hard to like get things through the door. But yeah, I got one play about the first album and a second one about this album now. So hopefully, you know, COVID dependent, that'll be going on somewhere, and I'm in it as well. Like it's me performing it. So, but again, it's just another extension. It's a way to like labour my point over again for longer periods of time. And yeah, I want to write more things that aren't just songs. You know, have a outlet for. Like, a song is like a really quick and easy way to communicate a feeling. But, you know, writing a script or a poem or an extended sort of piece of fiction, I guess, is loads harder, but you get to get a lot more said. So I'm constantly sort of chipping away trying to do that. I'm also like obsessed with making merch, so got a big merch drop next week.
Okay, can you give us any hints, any sneaky previews?
Oh no, I'm gonna say it's gonna, because I'm here and it's lockdown. Like, this is another good tip. Because I can't be creative all the time, and I can't, like, some days I wake up and I think, oh, I've not done anything today, and I beat myself up about it. So I've decided that if I have like a merch shop that I'm doing the labels and posting, that's a very tangible way of like working, but it doesn't take my brain. So my plan is to be like super creative over here and have all these ideas, but then definitely have something I can be doing that's not taxing on my creative side of my brain.
Okay.
So yeah, shopkeeper now as well.
Yeah, shopkeeper and merch stall runner next week. Yeah. And you were saying you working with like a bunch of other people as well. Is that like writing for other people's projects? Is that like the theatre writing, or what kind of things that?
Yeah, I write for other people. I really love doing that. And I'm writing, another theatre thing. And then what else am I doing? What else? I'm always like starting.
You're doing loads.
Yeah, I'm curating this zine of like poetry and art by people that I really like to raise money for a domestic violence safe space. So like, I'm trying to sort of like get that together before Christmas. It's weird. I like collaborating and I really like not collaborating, and I just it's amazing. I get to sort of pick and choose when I do it now. So yeah.
So poetry is like one thing that inspires you, something that you like to read. What would you say your other influences? I guess because you come from like a theatre background, you probably draw inspiration from all sorts of things rather than just, music that you love.
Yeah. I always say this, like every music sonically, like everyone is just ripping off someone else that they like, or like something they enjoy. Like I still, regardless of what he does in the media, like Kanye West is like sonically my number one. So that side of things is always sort of, that's very solid in my mind, really. I know what I like. It's like kick drum, harmony, strings. I'm very disinterested in guitars and keyboards, which pisses people off. But in terms of lyrically, like, it's sort of shifting, really. I used to try and write things that sounded smart, I guess, but now I obviously don't. and I just write really deeply how I feel, and like kind of too deeply, and but use it as a real cathartic way to process up here. So and poetry as well, like even like the phone note things I do, like they give me kind of it's kind of like a way to express things that don't need to be more than a sentence, like and that's always doing that. I just feel like every time I write something and put it out there, it's clearing space inside to then go and make another mistake and feel sad about it. But
like you say, you write from personal experience so much. Does that mean when you write, sometimes it can be quite painful? Does that mean it's cathartic? Like, how do you approach it? Because sometimes, it must be quite raw at points.
Yeah, it's strange. To be honest, it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't pain me. I enjoy it and it feels good. And art and music and film and anything I ever consume that is deep and close to the bone almost, and like TMI, like that's what I like. So same again, it's about like I'm only doing, it's kind of a selfish way to come at it, but I'm the art I want to make, I just don't think there's any point in it unless it's really real. Gets me in trouble in my personal life a lot, but I've always tried to be like sort of pretty stern about that and go, well, this is my job, so I don't come to your job and say, how dare you say that about me in the song. But it's so, I'm sensitive to, I'm never naming names, I'm never and they're never about revenge or making a point. It's just how I feel. And I don't know, all music is just, all good music is communicating and sharing the human experience, I think. So we're never doing that.
It's all fine. What's your favourite song you've ever made?
Oh man, there's a song on the new album that I think is the best thing I've ever done. No. But it, and also like, let me think. There's a song called In Waves, a Slow Club song that I always feel really proud of, and that was like the most eloquent I've been about like mental health, I guess. And like the whole compliments, please, from start to end. Very pleased with that.
You had to say that. Come on. What's your best lyric, do you think? What comes to mind?
My favourite lyric I've ever written is "So I'm gonna get drunk and slag you off, and I'm gonna go home and eat my feelings off." It makes me laugh every time. It's so good. Natural. It's so like true as well. Like I know, like the person, I remember getting drunk, I remember slagging them off, and then I remember going home and eating loads. It's just, I mean, talk about the human experience. I'm all right.
yeah, I got that one too. That one hit me hard. I felt seen. So has that
so funny? But, you know,
so has 2020 like impacted on your plans at all? You know, with lockdown, the whole pandemic, were you planning on releasing earlier, or has it changed anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Lucky is a really weird word, but it was my like slightly more down year where I was going to work on the album. I was definitely going to play some shows and things, and I wanted to start it last year, and it's obviously instantly stopped. But I wanted to have a Christmas. Every Christmas, I wanted to do these. I don't know, like last year I did these tuxedo shows. So it's me and Galps, my bandmate. We both wear tuxedos. That's the idea, and play like piano concert style versions of songs. I really wanted that to become a thing we do every Christmas. So that's a shame, because I was going to go big on that this year. But you know, I'll just pick it all back up. And yeah, the album, you know, I wanted to do January, and now it's probably not, you know, well, it's not going to be that. So everything's back a bit, but my God, I'm lucky compared to some. I can't imagine what it's been like to have a release this year. Like, I'd have gone mad. So, and like, right, and it will affect next year, because I was hoping to have a really big, successful sort of festival summer, and rightly so, that it's just copy pasting lineups from this year to next year. Like, that's absolutely the right thing to do, but it does mean like slots I would have been getting that next year won't be there. But I'm trying to keep pretty zen about it and just keep working, so when we can go again, like I'm coming out the gate sort of strong and galvanized and ready to go.
I'm wondering, as a person that is super creative, obviously you're writing music, we found out you're writing for theatre, you're planning tuxedo shows, you're making merch, I mean, God knows what else you've got in that brain of yours. How do you kind of approach creativity? Do you have like time set aside, or is it like every day you just kind of have to write, and you're putting things on your phone and you're you know, writing down ideas? Like, how does that work?
I've never known how the lockdown actually, though, just generally this year has helped me finally have the space to see how that works for me. Like, I think I've always been like, I always feel like a bowling ball that's just been chucked down a hill, and I'm just going, and that ball's like playing a show, and then it's doing this and it's doing this and it's doing it, and like things just happen, and I've never noticed when or how, because I've never had a year where I've not performed, so it's very, very weird. Since I was 18, so this year's really showed me what naturally like. Also, do you know what? It's my cycle, like my menstrual cycle. I've noticed like I'm super creative first 2 weeks, and then I go down a bit of a hole, and then like you can't. This is what I mean about, and then you can't get anything out of me. The sort of 8 days. So this year has even helped me look at that and how that works, and I've learned to like, if it's there, maximize like that and get on it and work hard while it's there, and not beat myself up when I wake up and I feel nothing. I just want to watch Married at First Sight. Like but it's took, you know, a decade to learn that how it comes in. And there's people are different. Like I know a lot of people that wake up, do 9 to 5, sat at a desk with a guitar, and they write a hell of a lot more than me. But I've always, it's this weird mystical, apparently menstrual thing where I wait and it comes and I just get on with it when it's there, and when it's gone, it doesn't mean it's gone forever. I don't know if I sound like a crazy person, but there's certainly ways you can. Sometimes I'm being lazy, you know, and I'm like, come on. But I'm learning as well which creative outlets work better on days I don't feel like it compared to when I do. But yeah, I'm just trying to be kinder to myself, really, and one day it might just all stop, and that's fine. I'll go back to panto.
Brilliant. So what do you do when you get like writer's block? Like, how do you push through that? Or like you say, do you just go, you know what, I'm actually going to watch some rubbish on Netflix?
Yeah, very that now. Like when I was in Slow Club, because you sort of on someone else's clock as well, like writer's block then was hell. Like I was really like, and I would push and push and push. And what I found was I would push, I'd write a song, I didn't like it, like it wasn't as good, but I'd just be like, here it is though, this is a song, and I would like fake being behind this output I'd had. Whereas actually now, because I don't have to do that, it's quite freeing, because yeah, I just go, it's just today's not the day. And you can apply that to loads of creative things, I think, like painting as well, or writing. Like it's been a strength for me to learn to just give it a couple of hours or sleep on it, rather than really bash myself over the head about it. But people are different though. Like there's definitely someone who would say, no, push through, keep writing, you know, you're just being lazy, break through the wall. But I prefer to go, okay, well, I see you, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess it's about finding your own method though, isn't it?
Yeah, and only now, you know, years and years into it, have I figured it out. So, you know, anyone younger, don't, you know, you'll get there, I think. It's like life though, isn't it? You figure that out as well.
Yeah, we're all blagging it, aren't we, is what I've realised. So what to you makes a great song then?
Oh, okay. Lyrically.
Big question.
Well, yeah, it's sort of, I like things that are very instant, very sort of songs that sort of reach out and so it's hard, like sonically make you. There's something about being comfortable in where a song is trying to take you, I think. So straight out the gate, if it's, for example, like a big fat beat that makes you go, okay, here we are, we're here, and this is trying to make me feel this, and then you can enjoy what comes after. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense. So atmosphere, being so very communicative with the atmosphere, and then lyrics about, you know, feeling all your feelings, really honest lyrics. Also, I really love a song that's like really not about you being the right one in the situation. Like I really love a self sort of I fucked up narrative that makes me go feel less alone, and not being boring. Like, God, there's so much boring music that just sticks to the numbers. So much that it's about the coolness, not about the feeling. And for me, I'm not very into that.
I always wonder though, like, because you are writing songs all the time, do you get like a special feeling when you know a song's just like a good one, and then do you get another feeling when you're like, you know what, there was something about this, but let's leave it?
Yeah, very, very much so. And I still can't sort of, without sounding like a crazy witch, kind of it does. You just know, and there's no feeling like it in the world when it's like, okay, here we go, this is it. And then certainly when I'm working with Johan, like we'll spend all day, we're like buzzing and go home, and then that feeling like walking back to the studio the next day where I'm like, I don't know if that was good or not, that excitement in that moment is just what I live for, because then you go in and you press play, and more often than not you're like, yeah, it is, this is amazing. Sometimes you're like, oh, all right, never mind. But yeah, I do, I know, and I think everyone does. But I did a lot of trying to write songs with pop writers, you know, last year, just out of interest, really, like how do these big pop writers do it, you know, Little Mix songs and you know, Dua Lipa songs, all that kind of thing. Like, I'm like, there's something scientific about these that creates a hit, right? In theory. So I but I just don't fare very well in those situations, because adding science to it, I've realized, just takes what it's about for me away. So there's definitely, yeah, I'd love to, and maybe one day I will, but like, knowing it's a good song versus knowing this is going to get on Radio 1, you know, in the morning, they're two different things. And I'd love to develop the skill that can figure that one out, but as it stands, I just like to trust my own little barometer at the moment.
So when do you know a song's finished? Because I guess a lot of artists are perfectionists, aren't they? You can keep adding, you keep writing, oh, let's do it, let's add this, let's add that. But when are you like, yes, this is done, this is good, this is what I want it to be?
These days, in the studio is when I can sort of see it structurally. But if I just write a song on a guitar, like here, I know it's finished when I just got nothing else to add, really. And yeah, I have a really crap answer, sorry. I know it's finished.
You just know. I guess again though, maybe it is down to that feeling again.
Same with any art, I think. I remember there's this quote, I don't bloody know, and I've probably got it wrong, but it's like, it is on it, therefore it is finished. So like the idea of a painting, like you go da 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 da, and it's like one last thing, and just the act of that being the last stroke is it being finished. And I kind of can apply that to music, really. It's like, it's from my brain, I have finished it, therefore it is finished.
It is done.
And there, my genius has been created. Yeah, there is a feeling. For me, it is anyway. I'm sure there's people that are like, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, you know, and that's the structure that they always stick to. But again, just I have a real sort of, don't let anything get boring. So it's finished when it starts getting boring, I think.
I love that. That's been like the main thread of this whole chat. Just don't be boring, because I think, yeah, there's a lot of people that almost rush to get things finished or try and fit in with a certain type of music because it's doing well on TikTok or, you know, something's having its moment. But it's about feeling and not being boring, and making sure that you're always exciting yourself, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. I always say this as a joke, but I mean it. Like, it's all for me. Like, it's all very just, I'm not, people are like, oh, it's so kind that you're doing this meditation every day. I'm like, no, it's just so I do it. And like, it's like, I exercise every day. I'm like, no, it's just so I don't have a chance to not get up and do it. Like, and my music, I make my music to enjoy myself. I think it works. It's cool, and it creates this community where like-minded people enjoy it too. It's just again, the cult thing, I guess. It's my God complex where I'm just trying to enjoy myself, and that's when I start like having inappropriate relationships with the members of the cult. But that's, you know, a long way off.
Yeah, that can be what, in 2025 or something.
Yeah, I'm predicting that. Yeah.
It's been so good to talk to you today. Thank you so much for your time, Rebecca. You too.
I want to ask you questions. That's really one
next time.
We do a keynote with you, and I just chat about you. I'm my perfect date. I'm like, yeah, just talking about me.
It was good. It was a good hour.
You're very welcome. It's nice to see you.